My future mother-in-law tried to buy me and wanted me gone. She lost her son instead. Leo and I had been together for almost 3 years. We met in a coffee shop in Boston. He was this brilliant, wildly overworked architect, and I was a freelance illustrator. I drew whimsical animals for children's books. I didn't pull in a 6-figure salary, but I paid my rent on time, and I loved my life. Then, I met his mother, Victoria. From day one, Victoria treated me like a stray dog Leo had dragged into her pristine mansion. Every holiday was a psychological war zone. She would invite us to family dinners and loudly praise the Ivy League law degree of a senator's daughter across the table before turning to me with this terrifying plastic smile to ask if I was still drawing cartoon bunnies. But the absolute final straw happened while Leo was away in Chicago for a week-long design conference. Victoria didn't just show up at my tiny third-floor walk-up apartment. She invaded it. She caught me coming back from the mailroom, pushed right past me, and stepped into my living room, looking around like she was inspecting a landfill. She walked straight over to my drafting table. She picked up a finalized watercolor I had just spent 40 hours on and deliberately, carelessly, dropped it onto the wet floorboard. "Oops," she whispered, without a single ounce of regret. I demanded to know why she was there. She didn't blink. She just opened her crocodile skin purse and pulled out a heavy leather checkbook. "Leo is being groomed for senior partner before he turns 32, she said, her voice dripping with absolute venom. "He needs a wife who understands high society. He needs a thoroughbred, Jenna. You are a barn cat." She scribbled on the check, ripped it out, and slammed it onto my kitchen counter. $100,000, she said, crossing her arms. "More money than your mediocre little family has ever seen. Pack your cheap bags and disappear." My blood boiled. I didn't freeze. I walked straight over to the counter and picked up the check. Victoria actually smirked. She thought she had won. But I didn't look at the money. I looked her dead in the eyes, and I slowly, deliberately ripped that check straight down the middle. Then I stacked the halves and ripped them again, and let the confetti flutter right onto her $1,000 shoes. Her jaw physically dropped. "I am leaving, Victoria," I said, my voice shaking with pure rage. "But I am not taking a dime of your filthy money. I am leaving because I refuse to let my future children be poisoned by a miserable toxic monster like you. Now get out of my home." I slammed the door behind her. When Leo got back from Chicago, I broke his heart. I didn't tell him about the confrontation. I just said our worlds were too different. I moved back to my hometown in Oregon 2 weeks later. But secrets like that, they never stay buried. 3 months later, Leo's older sister heard Victoria screaming at the country club about how I had the audacity to rip up her money. She immediately called Leo. When Leo realized what his mother had done, he absolutely shattered. He didn't just yell at her. He systematically eradicated her from his life. He quit the prestigious firm she had leveraged her connections to get him into. He sold his car, changed his phone number, and moved out of the luxury condo she had co-signed. He vanished from her perfectly curated world, taking a low-paying job building affordable housing in the Pacific Northwest, and refusing to speak to a single member of his family. For a year and a half, I heard nothing. I opened a little art studio and tried to heal. Then, last Tuesday, I got a knock on my studio door. When I opened it, I physically gasped. Standing on my welcome mat, shivering in the freezing rain, was Victoria. But she didn't look like a billionaire matriarch anymore. Her expensive clothes were soaking wet, her hair was a tangled mess, and her hands were trembling violently. The arrogance was completely gone. This woman, who had spent years making me feel like dirt, actually fell to her knees in the doorway. She was sobbing, gasping for air, pleading with me to please just tell her where her son was.